Hello and welcome to Pink Paradox Reads. I'm Lisa, aka Pink Paradox. I read books, I watch horror movies, and I unbox stuff that has to do with books and horror movies. In this video, I'll continue to chronicle my journey through 31 days of Halloween. Let's get into it. If you didn't see my first video detailing days 1 to 12, I will link that in the video description. And as a little disclaimer up top, these are my thoughts and opinions on these movies. And if any of these movies sound interesting to you, you should check them out regardless of my opinion of them. You might feel very different than I do. I'll start off with the movies from my mini DVD haul in the last video, starting with A Last Shift from 2014, directed by Anthony DiBlasi. This movie is about a rookie cop whose first assignment is to spend the night in a police station that is shutting down. They've moved to a new police station and she's just there to oversee things on the last night. Odd things keep happening though. She keeps seeing things that can't be real, and although she's been told that all the 911 calls are being directed to the new police station, she keeps getting some fairly distressing ones. Now, I went into this movie not really knowing very much about it, except like the basic premise, and I'm actually very glad that I did. I see that on the letterbox synopsis, and I think also the DVD packaging, they do give you quite a lot of detail about what is really going on in this police station, and I think my enjoyment of it would have been a little bit lower if I had known all these things that the synopsis says. I liked going into it blind, not knowing what this young cop was going to be faced with. I thought it was a very enjoyable little horror movie. It had little traces of Autopsy of Jane Doe vibes. It takes place during the middle of the night, and that is by far the scariest time to do anything. I ended up giving Last Shift 3 stars. Then we have The Cleansing Hour from 2019, directed by Damien Levesque. It's quite a name. This is a really fun take on the possession horror trope. The Cleansing Hour is a show on the internet where a priest performs exorcisms. Not real exorcisms. His friend helps him stage these very elaborate plays, and a lot of people buy into it. The priest fellow, of course, claims that this whole thing is real. He even has Vatican-approved merch available. And he's generally just a huge douche. Like, he is in this for fame and money and women. Actually, it seems like his main goal in life is to get that little verified check mark next to his social media. Well, he's done something to piss off some demon or other, because one day one of the actors actually gets possessed and the team is forced to play out this now real exorcism online. This was a lot of fun. Like I said, it is quite a fresh and interesting take on the demonic possession trope. I really enjoyed the ending, and I ended up giving The Cleansing Hour 3 stars also. Then I watched The Rental from 2020, directed by Dave Franco. Yeah. The Rental is about these 4 young people who rent this oceanside house, this really magnificent looking house with a jacuzzi and great view and everything. And when they're checking in, they think that the guy that they're renting from seems a little bit dodgy, and then it takes off from there. Well, I say takes off. In reality, nothing really happens in this movie up until I think like the 45-minute mark. And when things do start to happen, they are of the variety that made me go, what? There are movies that are slow burns, and then there are movies where just nothing seems to be happening at all, and The Rental was one of those movies for me. I did not like any of the characters. I was actually just waiting around hoping that someone would come and kill them. Ugh. This one was not for me. 1 star to The Rental. Then I saw The Uninvited from 2009, directed by Charles and Thomas Gard. This is one of those movies that just seems to keep popping up on my streaming services, so I just watched it randomly one night. And it's actually an sort of like an Americanized version of the Korean horror movie A Tale of Two Sisters. It's about this girl named Anna who spent some time in a psychiatric hospital following the tragic death of her mother. And when she moves back into her house, she finds out that her mom's former nurse has now become engaged to her father and is now taking sort of the place of her mom. Anna has ghostly visitors who seems to be warning her about something, and she becomes certain that what they are warning her of is this new stepmother to be. Now, I see what this movie was trying to do. It has a lot of scary imagery, but it totally lacks the atmosphere and mood that you get from a Korean horror movie. And as I was watching The Uninvited, I just sat there thinking, I should have just watched the original, huh? Not very scary, not very concise, not very accomplished. I ended up giving The Uninvited 2 stars. Then another one of those movies that I mentioned in my mini DVD haul, Session 9 from 2001. Yep, this movie is now 20 years old. Directed by Brad Anderson. In Session 9, we meet this asbestos cleaning crew and Warren from Empire Records. They are set to work on this abandoned mental hospital, and tensions arise when some of the crew says that they're going to be doing this job in this many days, and someone else says, no, we'll do it in this many days. One of the workers come across these very eerie tapes that he finds. These are conversations between a therapist and a patient. They are the sessions of the title. They are really, really super creepy, and they seem to have an effect on the crew working at the hospital. I am really, really glad that I finally got to watch Session 9. I have heard so much about this movie, and I was not disappointed. This is exactly the kind of horror movie that scares me the most. The creeping dread, the sort of psychological influence of something either ghostly or maybe even demonic. I'm gonna be honest with you, I was lying awake the night after I watched this. It really stays with you. Bonus points for the Lou Barlow track over the end credits as well. I absolutely loved Session 9. If you haven't seen it, and if you do like slow burn horror, definitely check it out. 4 stars to Session 9. Then I watched a movie that could arguably be called a thriller, not really a horror movie, but I do choose to include it here. This is the Netflix movie Intrusion from 2021, directed by Adam Salke. This is about a couple who moves to pretty much the middle of nowhere in, I don't think they ever say, but I think it's New Mexico. They move out into this really fancy house in the desert that the husband has designed and built. One of those modernistic type homes with gigantic windows that people can just stare at you through all day. Then someone breaks into the couple's brand new home, and that really shakes them up, and the wife is becoming really, really paranoid and fearful after this happens. And she is really not knowing who she can trust. Maybe not even her husband, because his stories seem more and more convoluted and less believable. Intrusion was really pretty, but also really, really predictable. I went into this movie thinking I was going to have like a home invasion type thriller, and that's kind of what I got, but as I was watching it, I was constantly guessing what was going to happen next, and I was actually right for the most part. Frida Pinto plays the wife, and she gets an extra star for me because I like her a lot. I also usually really like Logan Marshall Green, who plays the husband. In this, I did not actually recognize him at all. He did not look like himself at all. He had this sort of Adam Driver's cousin look going on. So yeah, Intrusion, way too simple, way too predictable. It's going to be 2 stars from me. Looking back at it now, I've actually watched 3 adaptations of The Turn of the Screw by Henry James this year, and I still have not been able to finish reading The Turn of the Screw. I really struggle with the language in that book. My English doesn't seem to handle it very well. I only recently finished watching The Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix this summer. Don't tell anyone, but I still haven't finished A Haunting of Hill House. I decided to watch The Turning from 2020, directed by Floria Sigismondi, despite the fact that it seemed to have all bad reviews across the board. But like I said before, a bad review doesn't necessarily mean that I will enjoy or not enjoy a movie, so I checked it out. I was a huge fan of Floria Sigismondi when I was a teenager. She did these epic gothic-y music videos in the late 90s, early 2000s, and she does bring some of that aesthetic to The Turning, but unfortunately it's really not enough to save this movie. The children of Bly Manor in this one are pretty much only annoying and not creepy, and that is pretty much the entire point of The Turn of the Screw, those really, really creepy kids. Oh, and of course the governess, who may or may not be mentally ill or may not be seeing ghosts. The biggest problem with The Turning was not the lack of atmosphere, it was not the lack of creepy kids. It was the fact that, and I say this as a warning to everyone, it just ends really abruptly, like there's no ending. There is a scene which seems to be just like cut in half, and then it just ends. I may have said something along the lines of, what the hell? All in all, after I'd finished watching The Turning, it felt like I'd watched half a movie. So 1.5 stars to The Turning. More turns in the form of Wrong Turns. Wrong Turn from 2021, directed by Mike P. Nelson. Now, I own a copy of Wrong Turn from, I think, 2003? But I have never watched it, so I can't compare the two here. I don't think this is a remake. Is it some kind of reboot? Is it just a script that they had lying around and they felt like it had some wrong turny feels to it, so they just ended up giving it the name Wrong Turn? I really don't know what's up with that. But we do again have a group of young people who go off on a hike, and they take the titular wrong turn and they end up somewhere they really, really don't want to be. But where the previous Wrong Turn movies have been sort of focused on cannibalistic inbred serial killers type things, this Wrong Turn is a lot more folk horror flavored. It's another one of those movies where I just can't connect with any of the characters. They're just really, really annoying, and I just can't wait to watch them get picked off one by one, to be honest. What saved Wrong Turn 2021 for me, and the reason I'm giving it 2 stars, was the ending, which I thought was pretty badass. So there you have another batch of my 31 days of Halloween movies. If you have seen any of these movies, I would love to hear your opinion of them in the comments. I will be back next Friday with my final batch of Halloween viewing. Yes, Halloween lasts a little bit longer around these here parts. Until then, thank you so very much for watching. Take care. Happy spooky season. Bye!